At the beginning, I was very much like, "Oh, how can we sell Harry Kane?"
If there is one way to persuade Daniel Levy, it is like this. Who do you think he will go to if it's up to next year? Welcome back, people. Now, Sonny, we have important questions to ask you. It's great to get people's opinion on what's happening with Harry Kane. And I think, you are the perfect person to ask. And let's go for it. Let's go for it. I know you're a big Tottenham Hotspur fan. So let's start off with the Harry Kane to Bayern Munich rumours. We've heard multiple times, and it's looking like it will happen, that Harry Kane is going to be going to Bayern Munich. Who knows what's going to happen there? Sonny, in your opinion, where do you see this going with this rumour with Harry Kane to Bayern Munich?
Well, I'd say I still feel it's the more likely destination for Kane. It makes more sense for most parties. We obviously Daniel Levy doesn't want to sell to a Premier League club. That's obvious. We don't want to strengthen rivals. There's an offer on the table from a European club. I'd say Bayern, the bigger club compared to. I mean, I know we're going to talk about PSG. Bayern, the bigger in terms of what they've won, history, potential. Still, they've still got good foundation to a club, better manager, squad. PSG in a bit of disarray at the moment, especially after the news yesterday. So yeah, I feel like this does make sense. And at the beginning, I was very much like, "Oh, how can we sell Harry Kane? What are we doing?" But the more it sort of rattles on and rages on, I'm more open to it because it's a bit like the Mbappe situation. It's quite surprising how parallel these two stories are running because when you have an asset in business and it is like in its last year of its contract, you want to get the most out of the value. And I feel like
100%.
Tottenham fans are lying to themselves if they'd say, "Oh, let's just keep him for another year and let him go on a free," because the money will be important. And I'm a bit of an advocate for if we can sell him for near that 100 million mark, because I still believe he's worth like around that price range. We'll probably get more into that later in the
Yeah.
video, but if we can take that money and reinvest it in maybe a Colin Moani or someone like that, then I feel like we can go into the next season and be a bit more hopeful, because I feel like a lot of Tottenham fans are worried that where are we going to get 25 to 30 goals? But it's all part of an evolution and process. And we're now going to be moving to the Ange system where you hope we won't just be relying on one striker to bag all our goals.
That's the key word there. I like how you said that. We hope, us as Tottenham
Mm.
fans have said this many times on many streams. Hope is Tottenham Hotspur's probably favorite word out there. So having came to Bayern Munich, we can say that in terms of his success, if he does go there, it's probably going to go to win a Champions League, probably Bundesliga, and then probably just go win the Golden Boot or whatever it is in the German league. Um, so now slightly moving on to the French league, League One, League One. Harry Kane to PSG. I mean, I can see why why they want to sign him. I mean, I can see why anyone wants to sign Harry Kane, but specifically PSG, just because I heard also that Lionel Messi, just before he left to go to Inter Miami, he did have a discussion with the chairman of PSG, and he did advise the chairman of PSG to sign Harry Kane, and says that's what he's missing to win at the Champions League. What do you think with this rumor to PSG? How serious is it in your opinion? And do you think Harry Kane should move to PSG?
I think it's, as I said earlier, like it's lesser than Bayern. I feel like it's less likely to happen because PSG are in a bit of disarray. Like, don't get me wrong. Like that Lionel Messi rumor, for example, it's like all well and good him saying that, but why didn't he stay? He's happy enough to go to Inter Miami and be involved in that project. And then you've got the Mbappe news. Neymar's future still uncertain. He's probably more likely to stay, but question marks always over him. We got a new manager in Luis Enrique. And it's a bit of a like, even though PSG want to and think they sit at the top table, I look at their squad and it still doesn't fill me with any like, I don't know. They're
Any
confusing when it comes.
excitement or anything?
Yeah, I don't like because I'm not sure what sort of avenue they're going down anymore. Like they seem to be trying to sign like younger, like more exciting players like Vitinha. So I'll be confused because don't get me wrong, if they get £300 million for Mbappe, I don't blame them trying to chuck 100 at Kane. But then I feel like, why aren't they going for maybe a younger profile, maybe a Højlund that United have been linked to? So I'm a bit surprised, and not to sound like I can call the shots, but the Bundesliga is a more respectable league than Ligue 1, and I just feel like that's a fact. But then people might argue that Bayern win the league every year. PSG, lost the league 2 years ago, so maybe it is more competitive. But I don't know. I can't see Kane really going. I can't picture him at Paris. I can picture him at Bayern. I feel like there's more concrete talks there. Whereas I feel like with Paris, it's a bit of a pipe dream for them.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I mean, look, when we talk about PSG, we have to talk about the money that comes into this. You
Mm.
know, when you talk about Bayern Munich, yes, sure, they can put in a 95 million bid or whatever they want, but it's not like PSG can't do that. PSG are known for the amount of money they can spend. So if PSG, the way I see it is, if PSG are serious about Harry Kane, they will go in for him completely. But it'll be if Bayern Munich or if PSG's chairmen will be able to convince Daniel Levy. Now, one of the ways to convince Daniel Levy was to bring up one of the most pathetic rumors I've heard as a Tottenham Hotspur fan. I mean, we us talking about even Paulo Dybala back in the days was pathetic to me, but this is an absolute joke of a rumor, and I mean, I have to get your thoughts on this because after him saying to Tom Holland, absolutely no chance.
Oh,
Look, I think Mbappe to Tottenham is completely unrealistic. Let's be honest. And I want to ask your opinion on more realistic things. So the
mm.
price range in terms of Tottenham Hotspur with Harry Kane. So I want to get your opinion on if Harry Kane was to go to a foreign club. You know, lots of fans are talking about the region of like 80, 85, 90. And then you're talking about Premier League clubs, which needs to be starting with 100. So I
Mm.
want to get your opinion as a Tottenham Hotspur fan, as a fan of Tottenham, and you've been a big supporter of Kane as well for the past, since he was at the club. I mean, How much do you not do you think? How much do you want for Harry Kane if he goes abroad versus if he stays in the Premier League?
Well, I mentioned Colin Moani, and he apparently would cost around £70 million. So obviously, we need a bit
Yeah,
more than that to, you know, feel like we're
to
getting
cover.
our money's worth. Because otherwise, we're just swapping. Kane right now, the way I see it is, it also doesn't matter that Bayern aren't a Premier League club. Like we should be still expecting a high fee off them. They've got a hole that needs filling. They haven't had a top striker since Robin Lewandowski. If they don't sign him, they're still stuck with Eric Choupo-Moting. They've got a lot of wingers, obviously, and a lot of attacking midfielders. They just haven't got that out and out number 9. And Kane would be perfect for them. They know he would help them get closer to a Champions League, win a league with ease again. Because last year it was obviously a bit of a to and fro between them and Dortmund. So if I was to actually slap a price on Harry Kane, I think he's worth, I'd still probably go for 90, maybe
Okay, yeah,
95
solid.
plus add-ons. Because the way I see it is, people nowadays say, like at the beginning of the window, everyone was going, "Oh, but these players like Mount, David Raya, Mbappe, they've only got years on their contract, but they're still high-profile assets that are worth a value." I mean, Mbappe's not worth
Sure.
259 million with a year left on his, but
Yeah.
to get a player out of a club, you're going to have to pay it. Otherwise, Bayern are now the front runners. Bayern then will risk next year maybe competing with more clubs that called their interest this summer. So I think if if they're willing to pay that, but the problem is, and I feel like you alluded to it earlier, Bayern historically don't pay a lot for transfers. Like, they usually sit around that 50 to 60 mark, and then Lucas Hernandez, they sort of blow their budget on that, and he didn't really work out. So I feel like they're
Yeah.
a bit skeptical to ever like creep upwards, but I feel like this is the one time where they will, and they could.
Do you think it's it's important for them to. I know you just mentioned that they are the front runners for Harry Kane, but I just want to understand something. So if Harry Kane does not sign a new contract with Tottenham Hotspur, he will basically have the chance next year to go to any team he wants
Mm.
for free, and it will all come down to wages and obviously all that. And if he has the chances, where do you think he's going if he does not get sold this summer? Where do you think he's going? Because you got the likes of United, you got the likes of Real Madrid, PSG, Bayern Munich, Barcelona. We're talking about the best of the best clubs out there. Do you think who do you think he will go to if it's up to next year?
God, that is a question. I feel like ideally he wants to stay in the Premier League. Do you know what it is? I feel
Yeah,
like he wants like a soft exit from Spurs.
from Tottenham.
Like
Yeah,
he,
yeah,
he doesn't directly want to go from Spurs to Man United this summer. I feel like he wants to go. Do you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of Maurizio Sarri when he went from Napoli to Chelsea, but then went to Juventus. It's sort of like he went to
yeah.
Chelsea as a stopgap, so that the even though in,
To
in
ease
that
out.
yeah, even though in that league, like loyalty isn't a thing, and people jump around between managing teams and playing for all the different teams. But
Yeah,
I mean, if I feel like Man United still makes a lot of sense, like that project is looking good. They're probably a Harry Kane away from actually putting in a title bid, competing with the likes of Manchester City and Arsenal, Liverpool. Um, but it's just only Harry Kane knows what Harry Kane wants.
yeah.
And when you see these like little like rumors where it's like, oh, he is keen, and I'm like, is he though? Like, like how much do we actually know how keen he is? Because a couple of months ago he was saying he was keen for to help Tottenham get back to where they need to be. So as I say, only Harry Kane knows, but I feel like Manchester United would be the one because you've got Eric Ten Hag there. They've just signed Onana. They've just signed Mason Mount. Bruno Fernandes. They're forming quite a good team there. And the rest of them, like I couldn't see him at Arsenal, couldn't see him at Chelsea. Um, but then Real Madrid, they'll probably sign Mbappe, so they're sort of out of the question. Bayern Munich will probably try and table something. Maybe they'll put the fee into wages and they can convince him that way. Apart from that, he sort of shoehorned himself. I think if unless Manchester City
Yeah.
come for him and they want to play Haaland and Kane up front, I think that'd be
Haaland Kane
quite
up front.
exciting.
Look, I mean, if he does leave, I'm saying if he does leave, okay? How? Okay, sorry, I forgot. What did you say regarding the Premier League clubs? How much would he go, in your opinion, to
This
Premier League
summer,
clubs
this summer, yeah, I
this
didn't actually
summer?
say a price. I think there you've got to be 100. You've got to be 100,
100. Has to start
plus.
with a one.
Yeah, like maybe 100 plus, couple of million in add-ons. But
Yeah.
because even like Levy wants around like 120, 130, doesn't he? Like that's where he
Yeah,
sees it.
yeah, yeah.
Even
116,
to
I heard.
Bayern, and I'm like,
Yeah.
that's that is when it's getting quite mind-boggling. But at the end of the day, we saw it with Declan Rice. If you want a player nowadays, it's a seller's market. You're going to have to pay up, and this isn't just like a player where you're like, oh, we're not sure. Like, is he like United are offering a lot, like I can't remember the fee off the top of my head, like 60 to 80 million for Hoyland. He scored
Yeah.
9 goals last season. Harry Kane
Yeah.
scored 30. Don't get me wrong, people go contracts and all that and higher ceiling. But at the moment, in the current state of football, would you rather have a higher ceiling or a actual proven goal scorer who, especially at Premier League level, it
That's hard
is
to
banging
find.
and go, yeah, like, and I'm sorry, he'll make the Bundesliga his playground. Like, it's no
Yeah.
lie.
Quite literally. I was gonna say as well. Um, okay, so say he does leave to Man United. What what do you think the fans will react to? So that's the next question we've got. The
Mm,
Tottenham fans, okay, how do you think that the fans will react to it? And before we start on that, just to go back to the price range and remember what I wanted to say, um,
yeah.
if he does go to Bayern Munich for the 60, 70 mil, it doesn't 60, 70 mil. What I'm talking about, 70, 80, or 90 mil that is rumored. It's still it always will be a a good deal for Tottenham Hotspur. It always will be a good
Mm,
deal because it's an investment that Daniel Levy made. He bought the player bought the player. He got the player when he was at Arsenal, took him into the club, and then bang! Look at what he's produced now. Harry Kane
mm,
is probably Tottenham Hotspur's best, in my opinion, best produced player we've ever had. So,
mm.
no matter what we sell him at, if it is at the 70 mil, 80 mil, 90 mil, 100 mil, it will always be profit because we haven't
Yeah.
lost anything. Especially when you got to remember he's only got 1 year left on his contract with Tottenham Hotspur, and that is a big thing because if we do take that risk and keep him for that 1 extra year, he would go for free. Although it wouldn't be a loss, technically it wouldn't be a loss, but if you look at inside the books, we could have gotten
Yeah,
70,
it's not a
80,
gain,
90
is it?
mil.
It's not a gain. But
Yeah,
I mean, even I've seen, sorry to interject, but like a lot of people are saying, but what is the value of, is does the value of Kane staying and potentially getting us Champions League football outweigh a transfer fee? But then,
exactly. Does
it's
it or
hard,
not? That's the question.
but it doesn't guarantee it. Like we could finish
Yeah.
fifth, sixth, seventh. Like we don't know. So,
What do you think the Tottenham Hotspur fans would say about this? Now, I'm saying if he goes to Bayern Munich, let's talk about Bayern Munich and Man United because
mm.
PSG, we're not too sure about that right now. So we'll focus on Bayern Munich. If he does go to Bayern Munich, how would you think Tottenham fans will react to it? Because if you remember last year, when all this saga regarding Harry Kane to Real Madrid and Bayern, was it Bayern? No, it was PSG.
Last year,
Last last year was Real Madrid and
yeah,
United.
yeah,
Real Madrid,
yeah.
United. It was basically the same teams last year as well.
Mm.
The Harry Kane apparently didn't go along with it well. He obviously missed the first day of training due to not too sure why. Apparently he missed it. How do you think the Tottenham Hotspur fans will react this time round? I mean, if he does go to Bayern Munich, PSG, or Man United this summer. Well, let's start with Bayern Munich and PSG. How do you think they'll react?
I'd say in general to start though, like he hasn't gone on strike. He's been on pre-season.
Yeah,
He's still training, so like he is showing a professional level. Um, Bayern Munich, I think, would be a lot easier for Tottenham fans. I feel like Tottenham fans are doing their mourning now. Like I've seen the montages like on Twitter
yeah,
already. I feel like that would be a bit more easier because even if, say, in a couple of years' time he goes to a Manchester United or a Premier League club, the blow's been softened anyway.
yeah.
So unless it is Arsenal, because I feel like people will lose their mind over that.
Wow,
But um, yeah, I feel like what a lot of people do is they're not blaming Kane, they're blaming
Tottenham.
Charlie Kane. Or they're blaming Levy in the sense of the negotiations, and we haven't actually mentioned it. Like the whole Joe Lewis thing is, I couldn't believe when I saw that on, I think it was Saturday. I couldn't
Yeah,
believe or Sunday night. I couldn't believe his name was uttered. Like he's like, you
out of
know,
nowhere.
yeah, we don't hear from him. He never like is involved in the club whatsoever. But now he's telling Kane, telling Levy when to sell
Leave what
Kane,
to
and
do.
I'm like, what's going on here? But no, I think in regard to Bayern Munich, I feel like that would be a lot easier, especially if we get a nice price for him, because everyone will be like, it's like me. It's like as I said at the beginning of the video.
Yeah,
Take me back a month ago, I would have been distraught. I would have been like, "What are we doing?" Da, da, da. But now, a month down the line, a month under Ange, we just need to like we need to go on to new horizons, sort of thing. I saw some people saying that after the West Ham game, Harry Kane in the Ange system looked a bit sluggish, whereas Richarlison looked a bit more energetic. And I'll be honest, like there was moments for Richarlison, but then again, he needs to find his finishing boots this season if he wants to take that mantle.
yeah. Well, I mean, look, when we do talk about the match reactions and match preview, if you can come along whenever, I will
Hmm.
send a link to you. That's when we'll probably
Yes.
analyze the situation between Richarlison and Kane. I'll tell you what, that is something to talk about. That is definitely
Yeah.
something to talk about because on the panel. It's not something we like to talk about. But look, Sonny, before we end the show, I want to ask you last question. Do you see Tottenham Hotspur keeping Harry Kane this summer, or do you see him leaving?
What a question. What a
The
question to end
money
on.
question. The money question.
Oh god. Do you know what it is as well? I've been sort of avoiding it on my own channel and to people being like just saying I don't know, and then like but
Unlucky. Unlucky, mate.
I know now I've really got. Do you know what? I think we're getting there. I think we're heading to the end game now, where you know Kane's been served this ultimatum. I just mentioned it. It's
Yeah.
sort of the ball is firmly in his court. It's sort of with that as well. Levy and Enoch are sort of washing their hands of it and saying, "This is up to you now. Like you'll be public enemy number
Yeah.
one, not us. Sign this deal. We've offered you this deal." Um, so first of all, with that, I don't think Kane's going to accept that deal. I just well, I don't know why he would. Like, he's obviously got his ambitions on bigger and better things. I believe he. I believe it's going to be dragged on. I can see him maybe
Oof.
like being involved in maybe some of the early Premier League fixtures, and then it's towards the end of the window. Bayern twist Levy's arm, and I think that's when we'll see Kane in a Bayern Munich shirt.
Ooh, we got the
Um,
final prediction from
I got
Sonny.
there. I got there. It took 5 minutes
You
around
got
the
the end.
houses, but I
You
got there.
got there at the end. Well, look, to end the show, Sonny thinks that Tottenham Hotspur will sell Kane towards the end of the window, and thinks Thomas Tuchel and chairman of Bayern Munich will be able to persuade Daniel Levy to change his decision regarding Harry Kane. Well, Sonny, before we end the show, I like to let the guests just shout out their channel. What can we see from Sonny Talksport? I mean, before we say anything, I do honestly recommend you all to go check out his channel. Absolute killing it there. I mean, he's smashing it. Great content there. So, Sonny, what have you got coming up on your channel?
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that shout out a lot. Yeah, Sunny Talk Spurs, obviously a new channel. We're getting closer to the goals I'm aspiring to get. This week I'm thinking of doing a little deep dive into Kolo Muani. I'm actually warming to trying
Interesting.
to get him at the lane. I feel like he would be a good player. So I might do a little deep dive on that. Apart from that, I sort of roll with the punches, see what happens. I've got a few other ideas up my sleeve. Um,
Oh,
and a few. I've got a football tic tac toe coming out at some point next week. I just because I'm going away,
nice.
I need to put a bit of content out while I'm away. So that one's in the bank.
That is some solid content coming up. Well, Sonny, lovely having you on the Spurs live channel. I mean, it's great having you on here, and hopefully we can see more of you on the channel. Absolutely smashing it out there. And lads, hopefully you enjoyed this little video of should we sell Kane or not? I mean, with Sonny Talk Spurs. What am I talking about? Talk Sport, Talk Spurs.
It's because I
Guys,
work for Talksport. It's easy. It's
yes, yeah,
easy to get the two
exactly.
confused.
Guys, make sure to like, share, comment, subscribe, and do the usuals. Comment down below how much you all love Sonny Talk Sports, Talk Spurs, and have a great one. All right, lads, peace out.